What is up? Mm, I just decided to do this very short and to the point. I think I made a video about this before, but I wanted to hammer on it again because of the importance. And with that said, I do have my points written down, and so as time goes on, I'll be flipping my eyesight back and forth. So you see that that's the reason. Now, we as you can see from the caption, it is why do African businesses die with the founders? And this is under the systems of credibility series. That is, if you have been following with whatever I've been doing, you see that there is a series called Systems of Credibility. And this is a follow up from the last video I just put up on YouTube. And like I said, um, looking at how important, or rather how imperative this issue is, it is imperative that someone talks about it. And I know, yes, there are already solutions to it, but the thing is, no one solution. Uh, there can be many solutions to one problem. There is nothing new under the sun, like I keep saying, but it is imperative that the problems that we do have plausible solutions. And so we'll call this heritage beyond hustle. Now, like I said, last time I spoke about entrepreneurs who built a thriving business only for it to collapse when they retired. Now, many of you watched, um, but few responded, and that silence itself tells a story. Because across Africa, we all know an entrepreneur. We know entrepreneurs who have we have seen shops close, factories vanish, and family businesses disappear. Yet we treat it as normal. And trust me, this isn't normal. It is an African economic pandemic that for some reason we are not paying attention to, or for some reason um, the the solutions have been left to the so-called people who can afford it. But hey, hello. But this is something that, hey, what's up? What's up? What's happening with you? But this is something that needs to be addressed. And so this is not something normal. It is a crisis. Hi, what's up? What's up? Hi, if you're watching me for the first time, my name is Richard. Um, I think you see everything about me on my profile. I think everything is now because of the way things information is ubiquitous. You can just pretty much type anyone's name, and you know pretty much what the person is about. In my case, it's very easy to find who I to find out who I am, what I'm doing, and what I've done, and all that. So where are you from? I'm so obviously I'm from Africa, but I'll just say I'm from West Africa. Yeah, yeah. However, I had the privilege of living around the world. So yeah, that is Africa, Asia, and North America. I had the privilege to do that. So like I was saying, this is not normal. It is a crisis. It is an African economic pandemic that needs to be, you know, uh, that needs to be solved. Now the thing is SMEs. Oh, really? How about now? You can hear me. How about now? Is the sound okay? If it's okay, just let me know. Mm, okay, yeah. So yeah, so If you didn't get the last answer, I said that, well, obviously, I'm from Africa, but specifically West Africa. But I had the privilege living in various parts of the world, Africa, North America, Asia. And when you do have this kind of privilege, you tend to have the responsibility to find gaps, to find solutions to most of the problems that you see. I mean, you can't solve everything, but it behoves you to have the responsibility to have solutions. You tend to, if only you're paying attention, you tend to have solutions to most of the things that you come across. And to borrow a line from Nicolas Cage from one of his movies, that's I think National Treasures or so. I think the scene where they had to steal I had to steal from the museum or something. The Independent something. Yeah, said that whenever there's a problem, those who have the ability to do something have the responsibility to do something. So I believe that this is my responsibility to do something. He said, why do people think Africa is poor? Well, um, first off, first off, Africa has a PR issue. Africa is not poor, but like you said, why do people think Africa is poor? Africa, first of all, has a PR issue. We have not done a good job with our PR. Sorry, so much so that we have left that narrative to people who have not even experienced Africa to think Africa is the way it is portrayed as. So first of our first problem is PR. We do not have we don't have better we don't have branding. We don't advertise ourselves well. We don't market ourselves well. That's the first problem we have. Whereas in other countries, I mean, living and growing up in different countries, and I know from experience, when you live in different countries, so-called first world countries, you find out that there's nothing special about these countries, but they have good PR, they have good marketing. So when you're outside that country or that continent, you think it's the best place on earth, but it is not the case. You get it? So in the case of Africa, people think Africa is poor because Africa has poor PR, public relations, but our marketing, our brand, and everything is not good enough. That is why people think we are poor. But Africa is actually. Oh. Oh, okay, okay. I'm still back on. Yeah, not to sound biased, but Africa is actually the richest continent. You know, if you know, you know. But I think that's a topic for another day. So, like I was saying, SMEs, or should I say MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises, generate more than half of Africa's GDP. They employ millions, but 70% collapse when founders retire or pass away. That means wealth evaporates, jobs disappear, and families lose their heritage. Now, the problem here is not entrepreneurship. We all know Africans are brilliant entrepreneurs. You know, uh, this is my small way of doing PR for Africa because why not? The problem we have is secession. That is why, uh, if you've been following whatever I've been doing, being the director of Triangle, we are operating through Triangle Capital Advisory and Triangle Credit. That is why Triangle Capital Advisory, we at Triangle Capital Advisory, we are making an offer to solve this problem. And we call it the succession infrastructure. That is governance, compliance, and continuity systems that make SMEs inheritable and bankable. Now, with the succession frameworks that we are proposing, families preserve wealth, banks see continuity instead of risk, nations build resilience instead of fragility. Now, Africa will only rise when our enterprises outlive our founders or our beginners. And as simple as this sounds, it is a problem that, if we do not do something about, we'll continue playing our systems. You go to town and you realize that an hospital that has been an hospital, I'm sorry, a hospital that was taking care of the community for the past 30 years is no longer working just because the founder passed away. And it's very common for these founders to always pack their kids, send them abroad and to have different lives. So the moment these kids, get to a stage in life, that is the adult stage, they do not see the reason coming back to further the vision of their parents, father or mother, whatever it is. And even in most cases, when they do return, they liquidate these assets and return to the diaspora. Of course, there's nothing wrong there, but what is wrong here is, you see, the thing about businesses is that whenever you start a business and you put in sweat equity, you put in your sweat, blood and tears or whatever it is into it, and it becomes successful for more than 2 or 3 decades. The moment it's been inherited by someone who is not someone who hasn't seen your pain and struggles, the person treats that business as a hobby. If you get the point I'm trying to drive across. So it is imperative that we have this succession infrastructure in place, and that is what Triangle is proposing to the public. I have been able to put this on LinkedIn, and I think, yeah, collecting some feedback by, um, we will still be collecting data, feedback, and hence that's what I'm talking about this very time, just to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. If it's something that is needed, fine, we move forward and keep building. If it is something that is not, needed, we will just keep the solutions to ourselves and build other things, or you know, or, or not. But whatever the case is, we know this is very important. It is imperative that a solution as such is in place. Mind you, there is nothing new under the sun. This is nothing new. I always say this. This is nothing new. However, how different organizations treat the problem is what makes it different. Because guess what? We are always moving in a different era, you know. And yesterday's solutions is not today's solutions, and today's solutions is not tomorrow's solutions. That is what organizations fail to understand. And the thing about most African institutions or organizations is that we do not like adapting. There's also one flaw. We do not like adapting. But we always I don't know whether it's complacency or whatever it is. We do not like adapting. You know, you cannot blame us too, because this is a case where we are competing with systems that already have infrastructure in place. You know, which the otherwise is true for you. So you do not see the reason to move away from the legacy systems, to adapt or to advance yourself, whatever it is. So one problem we have is we do not like to adapt, with the current situation. We always think that the past solution is what works for the current problem. But even animals evolve, and I use that word loosely, respectfully. You know, um, I can use a very a very apt example. Recently, I got somewhere and I bought that trap. Whenever you place a rat, is it no, sorry, a mouse trap at a place, right? It actually works. It becomes effective because it does its work. But today, the mouse or the rats have evolved in such a way that they can be able to escape these traps. So even if these low intellect beings are able to evolve then it means that we, the high intellect beings, we must be able to evolve as well to bring in solutions that make sense for the current situation. Because if yesterday's price is not today's price, then yesterday's solutions shouldn't be today's solutions. However, some solutions do not need to change. Some things do not need to change. Because they work. An example is the big pen. You know, the big pen is so concrete that it doesn't have to change. It doesn't have to advance. It just have to do whatever it has been doing for the past decades and all that. But when it comes to problems such as these, such as secessions, as far as secessions are concerned, our solutions must also equate the sort of problems that we have, especially in the African economy or the African ecosystem. And so that is why we are we are proposing Triangle's solution, which is the secession infrastructure. So yeah, if this is something that tickles your fancy, my first of all, you can start by is it subscribing or following? I don't know what I've stopped focusing on YouTube subscription because I realized that actually I've stopped following the whole social media following in the first place because I've realized that when people see you and they want to follow you, they will follow you. you know if they don't want to follow you, they don't want to follow you. You can't force it. So the best thing you can do is to just keep true to yourself and keep pushing whatever you're pushing, and in time, just a matter of time, the right people will find you. So i have I have been putting in the work, doing whatever I have to do. So when the right people find this, the right people will find this, and all that. So yeah. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do make some time and follow up with the works that we've been putting in. Because we are moving into a day and age where solutions must be properly equated to the problems that we have. And the problems, trust me, the problems are always evolving and all that. So, yeah, let's take it that way. Let's take it from there. So, there's no one here. I think it's good because it gives me time to experiment. My name is Richard Abra. I am the director of Ghana's Bankable Infrastructure, Triangle. And Africa's biggest problem is credibility. It's as simple as that. Africa's biggest problem is credibility. And the solution to that is Triangle. And that is what we are engineering. We are making sure that Africa's financial credibility is engineered and not improvised. And we do this by operating through Triangle Capital Advisory, and Triangle Credit. Now, Triangle Capital Advisory solves the audit and visibility and compliance opacity in MSMEs, banks, capital raising firms, and all financial institutions. We do this by injecting discipline and transparency into the operations of these firms. Triangle Credit, on the other hand, solves the biggest problem in Ghana's credit and lending ecosystem, which is repayment discipline plus guarantor risk. We solve this by, of course, using our proprietary engine, which is deeply aligned with institutional regulations. We do see and take regulations seriously, because an institution that doesn't obey regulations shouldn't be an institution in the first place. So we take that seriously as well. So yeah, Africa's biggest problem is credibility, and the solution to that is Triangle. So if you've come across this feed for the first time, you can follow up with the works that has been put forward. I just checked; we have about 1.3K videos. Each video has something in it that is evergreen, something that is still and will be applicable in the next 50 years. So yeah, have time, peruse, and we take it from there. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. Stay safe.